G'day, mates. Welcome back to another episode of So Rare Down Under. We are back. For those of you who missed it, we were on the So Rare Data, So Rare Andrews podcast during the week with Andrew Laird and Andy Black. That was great fun. I feel like we've known those guys for years. Very natural conversation, lots of lols, lots of funnies, a little bit of So Rare chat. It was great fun. So if you haven't already, go over and check them out on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Absolutely worth a listen. Love those guys, obviously. They are the OGs of So Rare content.
God?
The eagle-eyed of those amongst you may have noticed that it's just me today. No Simon with me. Unfortunately, he has succumbed to a roast-related injury.
Hey, buddy.
Bit into a roast potato and burnt his mouth, tongue, and most of his face. So
I may have a burnt face, but that doesn't mean I can't fight crime.
Unfortunately, he's in no state to be on the podcast this week, but the show must go on. We thought, we could skip a week, but no, we've got to feed you baby birds. So here we are. It's just me. Might not be a very long episode. I'm not as good as Lardinho at kind of carrying an episode on my own, but
I can't carry it for you. But I can carry you.
We'll see how we go. Lots to talk about. Plenty happening in the So Rare world. And I guess the main thing for me is that I've been making a few moves, making a few little sneaky gallery changes, little sneaky gallery moves. And it kind of prompted me to do a bit of a revision of where my gallery is at since I made the foolish move to move across to Super Rares. And the results may surprise you.
Wow.
So, what has been happening? I think the biggest thing this week is the introduction of the Super 270. What are they calling it?
I go by many names.
Well, what are they then?
The Cap 270 month-long competition. So for those of you who haven't heard of it, basically what they are doing is they're running the same month-long competition that they did last month, except they're doing it in the Cap 270 tournament. And the real kicker here is that you only win what you win at the end of the month long. So week to week, there's no rewards. So if your 270 team goes out and bangs next week,
You're shit out of luck.
you got to hope that you bang another 3 or 4 times during the month and hope that you pick something up at the end of the month. So it is a real test in like delayed gratification. I think a lot of people are kind of not too happy about it because they're, pretty rightly so a bit worried that they're going to commit some of their best cards to this tournament and not end up with anything after 8 weeks of of trying.
You get nothing. You lose.
Personally, I think that it might suit my gallery perfectly.
No.
Not because I'm a whale. I mean, I know PSU fans was out there telling everyone that the whales are going to run away with this, and they probably will. Don't get me wrong. Like, if they've got cards that they can just spare for this competition, so they'll do really well, whilst also still doing really well week to week. Whereas a lot of people, like myself, we have to kind of take a bit of a punt on putting all of our best cards, not all of our best cards, but putting some of our best cards at least into 270 each week, knowing that we're not going to win a reward, hoping that we can stack up enough good weeks to pull something at the end of the month. I have a mostly super rare gallery. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the Cap 270 month-long super rare competition has some pretty juicy prizes on offer. Let me just pop open the old website here. Edit this out, will you, Alistair?
No worries, mate, I'm on it.
Okay, here we go. Should be able to see my screen now. So we've got Super Cap Rare, Limited, Super Rare, Unique, and that's a Premier League one. Never mind that. So I'm not really going to be focusing on these two. A lot of people will be. I think there's going to be quite a lot of people entering into them. But in the Super Rare, we've got 150 Super Rares and 15 Uniques up for grabs. Again, this may not mean anything to any of you out there, but this is the only thing I really care about at the moment. So they're paying out Uniques all the way down to 15th place, give it, albeit a Tier 5. But Tier 2's all the way down to 20th. Tier 3's down to 85th. Like, that's pretty decent. I mean, Tier 4's and Tier 5's, yeah, whatever. So the way I'm thinking about this is a lot of people are going to avoid this, or they're not going to commit their best cards to this because they're worried about not winning rewards, week to week. And that's fair enough. Like, the biggest kind of worry that people have is, what if I podium and I win nothing? That's a risk. But where my gallery's at the moment is that I don't feel confident in my Super Rares enough to put them into All-Star Super Rare each week. When I was building my Super Rare gallery, that was the plan. A few things went wrong. Probably spent a little bit too much money before the Europeans started on American players, which was a bad idea. We'll talk about that again in a little bit. But it's left me with this gallery, which is like, I've got some really good pieces. I've got some good kind of like low cap players that I think, have the potential to score well week in, week out. Like your Xavier Merciers, your Alexandru Maxims, Matthias Rojas is back in action now for Corinthians. He can always score pretty well. So I've got those players that are perfect for 270. I also don't have that many goalkeepers. So I'm kind of at a position where I can either just only commit to All-Star Super Rare, in which I don't think I'm going to do that well. I don't think I've got a strong enough gallery to really compete for Tier 1s, Tier 2s. I might hit a Tier 3 every other week if I'm lucky. And then, of course, I've got my Cap 240, which I have been prioritizing. And I've got plenty of cards for that. So I've kind of got too many Super Rares and not enough places to put them. I haven't thought forward enough ahead to have like a divisional team, like a Challenger or a Champ America or anything like that. I mean, I probably could, but don't really want to. So it kind of leaves me with 270, and I think I've got a good chance of finishing relatively highly if, the kind of average user of my level kind of doesn't really focus on this competition, or they're too scared to take it on, which, again, is probably the smart move. I'm probably making a huge mistake here, but the way I look at it, focus on my 240, focus on 270, and really try and push to get a Tier 1, Tier 2. I think Tier 1 would make a massive difference to my gallery. Let's have a look at who we got here. Tier 1 is for podium, but okay, forget Tier 1s. Tier 2s still. If I can aim for top 20 in this tournament,
Gotta figure out how to make money on this. I really want to.
let's see. We got Berghuis in there. We've got some goalkeepers, which would be handy. Di Lorenzo, I'd absolutely love. Yeah, lots of keepers. Bergwijn, I think he'll come back into form. Theo Hernandez, Tom Hay, Kieran Trippier. Castiles, yeah, there's some juicy cards in here. I mean, I'm not expecting them to pay out anything up the top. I'm expecting we'll probably get something around the bottom here, but if we go right to the bottom of the pool, yeah, Kaibui,
And kablooey!
Mickey Van den Ven, Brace Mendez, I'd be happy with that. So if I'm kind of aiming for that Tier 2, maybe a Tier 3, I think I'd be pretty happy with that after a month's worth of kind of work. Because I think if we're being realistic, All-Star, even if I was putting them in, a division, I'm probably only going to be picking up Tier 4s and Tier 5s anyway, and I've got plenty of them, so I really do need to be shooting for something bigger, and this might be a good opportunity now that, hopefully there won't be that many people that I'm up against. So that's my kind of thoughts on the 270. I think I'm going to be going for it. I hope none of you out there do. I hope it's just me.
Mine.
I hope it's just me and the whales, and I can come in last behind the whales, but still hit a Tier 2, Tier 3, and I'm happy. International break. So, it's the international break. International break sucks. I hate them. I hate them so much.
Oh my God, you suck! Well,
I've got a keeper and a defender playing this midweek, and then I've got a midfielder and 2 attackers playing next game week. So that's fucking brilliant. Otamendi banged out 100 for me today in a 2-man team, and I'm sure that my attackers next week will just absolutely smash. Just split up into 2 game weeks just to tease me.
you naughty, naughty. You teasing me, you naughty, naughty.
I don't know. Do people like international game weeks? Like, do people in Europe, do you guys care? Do you watch the qualifiers? Let me know, because I think it sucks. I think what they should do, so in Australia, in the rugby league season, they have this kind of competition in the middle of the season called State of Origin, where it's like players from this state play against players from this state. It's kind of like rep teams. They come together, they play. It's a big rivalry.
Well, we've seen plenty of this in Origin. This is one of the best. They've come from everywhere like it was almost a rehearsal. Have a look at them throw them.
You know, it's fun. But club rugby doesn't stop while that's going on. All the like superstars that get picked to play at State of Origin level, they just go off and play, and then the other teams play on the weekend as they normally would, but they've just got to roll out all their bench guys, their reserves, and it's always really fun because the better teams are kind of weak that week. So then, you know, you've got that matchup of like, oh, this team, you could beat them now because 9 of their players are missing. Like, it just adds a little bit more kind of intrigue to it. And for those weaker teams, if you're lucky enough to get drawn against a team that's got all their players missing, then, you know, you've got a good chance of winning. I think that'd be awesome for football. Like, you know, especially if you've got a deep gallery with some of these kind of fringe guys, you know, oh, they're going to get a start over the international break, you know, whoever it is, you know, the keeper's off playing for Belgium, so this guy's going to get a run. Like, I think it would add so much utility to a lot of those kind of, you know, bench players that at the moment are absolutely useless. So I'd be all for that because I'm bored. I want to play Sorare. God damn it.
This is bullshit, Mark.
Want to play again?
I do.
It's fun, isn't it?
Once I realise...
Okay, cool. New website. I just had a look at it then. Looks pretty good. I mean, yeah, it's fine. Website's website. I think it's a little bit cleaner. I think the My Club page looks pretty tasty. Here we go. Got the wall of Papa. There he is. There's my boy. Got your collections front and center, which is fun. You got your, like, you know, how well you've done over the years here. Cracked the ton in rares.
Who drives through the offside for his 100.
No big deal. Yeah, looks pretty nice. But the big thing, I guess, that they've introduced is this kind of like play pool. So we've got the rewards pool down here, a manager assistant. Wait, what is that? I wonder if they're going to fill this out. Manager assistant. It says complete tasks and claim your rewards. Refer a friend. 600 coins. Yeah, I'm not going to be doing that. But maybe they're going to add extra things to this where you can go and do certain things and win cards or win ETH or something. Watch that space. Pro, a few people on Twitter I saw kind of didn't like that they'd called this pro, but I think it makes sense. You know, you either play in the kind of free version or you play as a professional. And professional to me is like you're playing for cash, playing for money. So if you're playing in these divisions, you got to actually buy cards. You're a professional, kind of. You know, we're all professionals here. But the biggest, I guess, new thing, the newest thing. Rivals is the new kind of free-to-play thing. So anyone out there who hasn't heard about this so far, basically, it sounds like at the start of, I don't know if it's every game or if it's just like a set game per game week. We'll find out. Basically, you just kind of pick 5 players from either team and roll them out, play against your mates. It's free. I don't think, well, there might be some prizes, but it looks like it's just going to be pick up and play, which I think is awesome. Like,
Challenge another Digimon.
We've always talked about Sorare and its kind of like need to go mainstream for this to really take off. And, you know, I think a lot of us are set up to benefit if Sorare goes absolutely mainstream. I mean, it'll be bloody hard to win anything if it does, but I think overall it'll be a good thing. And Rivals, I think, is a really good way for us, a really good start, because I can meet someone at the pub. I can go, hey,
So y'all want to buy some drugs?
have you heard of Sorare? This is it. You just download this app and you play immediately. You don't have to go through the draft process. You don't have to go through all that kind of like setup. Hopefully, Sorare make it just as seamless as possible. You just pick it up, whack your players in. Oh yeah, cool. I won something, or I beat you. You know, and hopefully that'll hook people in. So very excited to see how Rivals pans out. Cool. All right. Well, I think that pretty much sums up everything that's going on. I don't think I've got any fresh takes. So I thought I'd give you guys a bit of an update. We don't usually talk about our own galleries apart from Simon's because it's such a clusterfuck. We try not to, go into lineup building and rewards and all that kind of stuff because, that's just not our style.
Bar none, I am the most humblest.
But I thought I would give you guys an update on, I guess, my own gallery ever since I made the change to Super Rares. So in April of this year, I had a meltdown and sold all of my rare cards. I had some top quality rare cards in there. I had your Carlos Heels, your Cecenias. I had... Who else did I have?
Where are they?
I can't remember. I had some good cards. I sold them all with the sole intention of just buying all super rares. I probably made a few mistakes early on in that having an ETH balance is like the most dangerous thing in the world. I don't know if anyone else is the same, but you just make some dumb decisions when you're like, I've got 9 ETH sitting there. Why not take a punt on this guy? There's some cards in my gallery that I bought where I'm just like, what were you thinking? I was also impatient. I made the move like before the European season started, and instead of being like, I'll buy some quality Europeans now, I just spent most of my money on some pretty mediocre America cards, which have turned out horribly. John Mota got injured. That was pretty bad. Glesnes has been awful for me since I bought him. Matthias Rojas has been injured the entire time I bought him. And also just like American cards are so inconsistent, you can't rely on any of them. I think it also, in my defense, it was combined with the fact that it was like the transfer window for Europe and every man and their dog was going to Saudi Arabia, and it was terrifying. It was a terrifying time to have an ETH balance and trying to buy players, especially super rares, knowing that at any moment they could just be dead. So it was a scary time, and I was buying players that I knew weren't going to go to Saudi, with the exception of Roger Guedes, who went to Saudi. Dickhead. So I've made the move, and I think we had an episode a couple of weeks ago. We talked about, the enjoyment levels of Sorare, and obviously Simon's selling up because he wasn't getting as much enjoyment out of it. Not selling up, but just transitioning to limiteds where he can hopefully just have a bit more fun. And it kind of made me think about, how my Sorare experience has been since April. And for the most part, it's been pretty challenging because I just haven't been winning that many cards, which sucks. Now, the flip side of that is I have won a lot of super rare thresholds. Well, I say a lot. I think I've done pretty well on the old super rare threshold side of things. I have got lucky with a couple of really good rewards that were kind of better than their tiers suggested. And I did have one kind of top 10 finish in All-Star Super Rare, so that kind of helped as well. But I will run you through kind of what I have done. Don't worry, mate. Got you covered. So, this is a kind of little, again, very basic spreadsheet of kind of since I made the move to Super Rare, how things have gone. So, as you can see from this, I don't know why that's a $sign, but this is the game week. And then what I've done is I've put in here basically the US dollar cash equivalency of what I've won that week. So the the numbers where they're a bit higher is where I've won a reward and then subsequently sold that reward. So since starting, I've hit the threshold, super rare threshold, maybe 15 times. 15 times in total, which is, it's not too bad. Went through a real dry patch there for a while, but I think once Europe came back, had a few more super rares up my sleeve, a bit more depth, and started hitting that a little bit more frequently, as you can see from kind of 401 onwards, started hitting it. I haven't had much luck with rewards. Well, no, that's not true. I haven't won many rewards. I've been close a lot. But even being close, I mean, close to a tier 5, which, yeah, I've won a lot of tier 4s and tier 5s, let's put it that way. I had my best result was 10th in All-Star Rare, kind of at the back end of last European season, which I won George Long, who now hasn't played since then. Luckily, I managed to sell him for over $1,000 US. So pretty stoked with that. And then not too long after that, I won a tier 5 and won a Matsumoto, who is the goalkeeper for Kashiwa Reysol. So that was ridiculous luck. I've never seen a goalkeeper as a tier 5, let alone one that starts. I managed to sell him for a similar amount to what I sold George Long for. So that really has put me ahead. Just that tremendous bit of luck. Outside of that, I've won, some tier 5s. I haven't sold Van Leberg. I've still got him. He has been pretty good. O'Brien, I haven't sold him. He's been pretty good as well. But I have sold, some of these other tier 4s and tier 5s that I've got.
Get that garbage out of here!
So, since starting, I have yielded a little over $5,500 US, which for Australian dollars, I think it's like $8,500, something around there. So, which I think is pretty good. For 5 months' work, I think $8.5 grand. That's kind of exactly why I made the move over to Super Rare, because I felt like I could yield a little bit more. Rare prices were going down, rare competitions were getting more competitive, and I just thought, look, if I can escape that kind of week-to-week competition trying to win cards, and I can just focus on a threshold that actually has some significant dollar value, then ultimately that'll fuel, hopefully, me kind of improving my gallery. So where I'm at now, again, I haven't had any really big wins. I haven't had any ETH finishes. I haven't had any, great tier 2 kind of super rares that I've won. I've just been chipping away with the threshold. But what it has allowed me to do, especially with those tier 4s and tier 5s that I've won along the way, I've been able to reinvest a little bit of that, pick up a few bargain pieces here and there. I've now got really good depth. Well, I believe I've got really good depth. Where's my gallery? Let's have a look. So I've got a few of my kind of marquee pieces, my Heung-min Son, which I picked up, Otamendi, obviously Gaese, Sasaki, and I picked up a few kind of mid-range guys like Kadri, who else have I got here? Van Lebergo 1, Daniel Wass has been really good for me, Mercier, Luca Oyen hasn't quite turned out how I'd planned, but there's quite a few blues there, and basically what that has allowed me to do is kind of put a good team out for 240 every week. I'm not putting out a team where I'm like, oh, they might just scrape over. I'm actually putting out a cap 240 team where I'm like, these guys could actually win something. They haven't really yet, but they're smashing the threshold. They're hitting 300, 320 points each week, which I'm really happy with. So, but where it has allowed me to get to, and this was my initial strategy in the beginning, was go into super rares, try and stack some ETH through the threshold. Try and, if I can win some cards along the way, fantastic. Get my gallery to a point where I've got enough super rares that I can consistently and confidently roll out a cap 240 team every week, and then start to work my way back down, and take some of those more premium super rares and start buying some premium rares and work my way into Rare Pro. So that's where I'm at now. I've actually taken the plunge, sold off a few of those tier 4s and tier 5s, taken a bit of that ETH that I've won, and I've reinvested it into a Newcastle defensive stack, which you'll see here with Trippier and Pope, and then James Maddison in the midfield to pair up with my Heung-min Son. And then the other super rare that I chuck in that rare pro team will be whoever's got the best fixture, Kadri, Storm, Sasaki, Otamendi, Desart, I feel like they're not the best rare, super rares in the world, but they will get the job done, as long as these other guys do what they're meant to do. So yeah, I think ultimately the strategy has worked, which I'm stoked with. It hasn't felt like it's been working. It's been feeling like a real drudge, and thresholds just aren't as fun to win. It's great. Like, don't get me wrong, love when that threshy hits, but it hasn't been as enjoyable not winning all the time. So I'm hoping that now I can start to pick up some more rares, hopefully build out some more rare pro teams, keep the super rares rolling in the background, but not prioritize them anymore. As I said earlier, prioritize 270 and 240, and then the rest of it, I just really try and put out some strong rare pro teams and hopefully start winning some cards, because at the end of the day, that's what I like doing. It's great to see those financial numbers and go, $8,500 in a couple of months. I'm pretty happy with that output, but it's just not as fun. So that's kind of where I'm up to at the moment. I don't know if anyone else has made a similar kind of gallery move where they've kind of tried to step up into a new division, like whether it's from limiteds to rares or rares to super rares or super rares to uniques. I'd be interested to hear how that's gone for you, whether you've had success, whether it's affected your enjoyment at all, or likewise if you've gone down, like if you've done a Simon and you've gone, I'm not hacking it here at the super rare level, I'm going to just go all rares or rares to limiteds or whatever. Let us know how that went as well, because I'm interested to hear how people are enjoying the game. Look, that just about wraps it up. International break can go suck a fat one. Can't wait for my boys to be back in action. Keen to roll out my first rare pro lineup in 5 or 6 months. That's going to be exciting. Hopefully with that rare pro lineup as well, I can start to, build out a cap 240 rare team and, potentially fund some more super rares if I do want to try and, up my game a little bit on the all-star super rare side of things. But at the moment, I'm pretty content with where my super rares are. I might need to buy another super rare keeper, but other than that, I'm content. Cool. Short ep. If anyone's got any questions for us, or if anyone's got any kind of comments for content they'd like to see, let us know. We'll see you next week. Simon, hopefully his mouth has recovered, and he's got full. Hopefully his face is not as too fucked up from the potato incident, but we'll see. We'll have him back. Can't wait for actual club football to be back. Let's go. See you, mates.